Welcome to Still Untitled, the Adam Savage Project. I'm Will.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Norm.
Hello.
Why did I
Hey.
forget
A
the
little
order
bit
there
hot.
for the last
I don't
couple of weeks?
know.
I'm getting senile. We were just talking about our children.
Yeah.
And you were talking about your daughter caked in mud, and it was reminding me, as everyone knows, my boys are 18, but there's so much about their tiny youthhood I'm reminded of when you talk about it. And one of them was, before I had kids, I had this vision of standing on the street corner. Did we talk about this already?
No.
With my kid holding my hand, and it's like little hand holding my hand. And I thought about how that would feel. And I'm here to say, throughout their entire childhood, that was every bit as good and amazing as I was hoping it would be as a prospective dad.
The hand coming up. Hold my hand, please, Dad. Is one of the best. We were talking about summer camp and stuff because we're into that time of year for us. And I haven't talked about it on the podcast, but I know that this is a thing that's happening kind of around the country now, and it's especially good for kids in the city. But her preschool, we sent her to a thing called Forest School in San Francisco, which is a preschool where we basically drop her off at Golden Gate Park in the morning, and then they spend 4 or 5 hours tromping around, and like when it's raining, rain or shine. If there's
they're
high
like
wind,
camping and busking and
looking
for
well, they go to the homeless encampments and they clean up the needles.
Yeah.
All the 4 and 5 year olds out there.
they wear the
What forest in San
puncture-proof
Francisco?
gloves. Yeah.
Well, so
That got dark.
Sneak
in a
into
hurry.
a
Sorry about
golf
that.
course.
well, no. So I mean, Golden Gate Park is the largest municipal park in the country.
Really?
Yes, it's bigger than Central Park. It's bigger than the one on the coast of.
They tell you on the brochure, Forest School.
Yeah. Exactly.
Wow.
But yeah, it's really good. And I know, so I've talked to friends in Chicago and New York and other places, and they're doing it other places now too. But it gets the kids outside. It gets them used to being in the rain and the snow and all the bad weather.
Yeah.
And then they, like, when I go for a walk with her in the park, she's like, "Oh, Dad, that's Pride of Madeira bush."
Wow.
So yeah,
Yeah.
she's learning things, and she's learning how to climb trees and all the stuff that city kids don't get to do.
They
so
teach them
much.
tricks.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's the best.
So speaking of tricks.
Yes.
I think we've finally all seen
a movie
that we
can talk
at the
about.
same time.
Whoa, it's been a while.
Well, superhero movies only come out 12 months a year now, so it's tough
That's right.
tough to kind of pack them all in.
So I think this is time to have a standard 2-part spoiler cast about Guardians of the Galaxy. So we'll talk in loose terms for a while, and then we'll tell you to turn off the
podcast.
Turn off the podcast
Unless
until
you've seen
the
it.
film.
I like that we have a fourth chair.
I
We
here,
have
too.
Elijah. This is the seat for Elijah.
Can we talk about the thing that you did in Detroit a couple weeks ago yet, or should we save that for later?
No, we have to save it for later.
Okay, we'll save that for later then. Okay.
It's
I
gonna be
really
amazing.
want to talk about that.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
Okay. Sorry, I just did the thing that we try not to do. But okay, so Guardians of the Galaxy, you and I went and saw it on Monday, I think.
Yes. Monday
Norm,
morning.
you saw it a couple weeks ago when it
It's
came
been
out.
a couple weeks ago, yeah. Only the once, though.
I joked at the end of the last episode that I hated it, but that's absolutely untrue.
Nope, I'm dying to see it again. I think I'm going to take Mrs. Don't Try This to see it on Saturday.
Ooh.
Yeah, couldn't be more psyched, and I enjoyed the spit out of it.
Well, so there's a thing with sequels a lot of times, especially on new franchises, where, like, if you come into that movie and you make this happened with Star Trek, actually, Into Darkness. Like, I think that the people who made the first movie thought that the thing that people reacted to positively in the first movie was not the thing that they were actually reacting to positively.
Yes.
And you end up with a little bit of a dissonance on the sequel sometimes. And this movie had none of that. Like, I felt like they really nailed every part of what I liked about the original and kind of just, amped it up a little bit. Yeah.
And then gave it some heart and didn't let secondary characters fall by the wayside.
It also, both movies take their time to get around to their point.
Well,
Both movies are just kind of like, here's a world, and you're kind of swirling around in it. What I mean is that for some movies, there's this capital P plot. Is everything all right with the sound?
yeah, is there music playing?
There is music playing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
That's me.
Yeah, we'll
Sorry about that.
Oh, it's all good.
For a lot of movies, the plot is paramount, and we talk about plot holes and plot difficulties and suspensions of disbelief and such like that. And there's a standard trope that by page 11 or 15. You need to know the whole thing of what's about to happen in the movie, so you're invested in. Both Guardians films are, I was thinking about this in the middle of the sequel, are much more like you're just jumping into a world and there is a kind of something to do, but it's more just like people are doing what they do.
Well, they're character pieces.
Yeah.
Right. I think in many ways it's a really small story. I think some of the complaints, if there are any that I've read, is that it plods and that there's not big things happening. But I'm totally fine with it. They exist in such a fantastical universe, even for... they go to a place, they leave a place. That is essentially the plot of the story.
Right.
And so there's so much creativity and so much artistry to see and so many fantastical characters that they get to bring just in that simple plot that it can take its time.
Yeah, and actually, you said that take its time. That's another thing that I really appreciated. I kept on noticing these moments of sort of aesthetic transcendence is the way I'll describe it. There'd be moments in which all this shit is happening, and James Gunn is the director. Yeah, James Gunn will cut to a character just standing there, realizing something, dealing with something quiet, and it'll take this moment that movies let's just say Bayhem does not take, right? And it's such a peaceful, lovely respite, and that's a repeated refrain within the film. It's this kind of silent part.
I think of that as and I say this without malice. I think of it as the Simpsonization of media, right? Like if you think about before Simpsons, comedies, sitcoms had laugh tracks, and there was always a joke, beat, audience laughs, home audience laughs, and you move on. And then the Simpsons just came on and packed 3 times as many jokes into 23 minutes as anybody had ever done before. And the temptation to do that with this movie had to be there. And the restraint that they showed in giving the characters kind of room to breathe was really awesome. I thought the same thing. There was one moment we'll talk about in a little bit.
The comparison you make with someone like Michael Bay, who I think, the writers of those films will sometimes throw in a capital moment, M moment of realization or self-reflection. And for someone like Michael Bay, that's an opportunity for him to do something fancy, a flourish with a
big
shot.
Explosion.
And it's classic Zack Snyder. We build to a moment without building the emotional clarity to earn that moment.
And the actors in those scenes are often in those films just pose for the camera, wave the flag behind them, dramatic music swells. And I don't think actors like that. I think actors want the lowercase moment, M moment of reflection where they get to emote and it's not necessarily about the dialogue or the big things happening around them.
And the moments in this film are all quite emotional.
I think we're getting close to the part that we have to get into spoilers.
Yeah.
Were there things that you guys did not like about it?
That Transformers trailer before the movie was really garbage.
I'm going to say here that I love Transformers trailers. I find the Transformers trailer to be far more interesting and more watchable than the movies themselves.
Do you wonder if the editors of the trailers know that they have to appease the people who want to see Transformers film, but it's like a personal challenge to turn it into something that has some coherence.
So they cast somebody that looks like Megan Fox 5 years ago, and they cast somebody that's gonna look like Megan Fox in 8 years. The thing about the Transformers trailer, I know we're driving off the road here, but the thing about the Transformers trailer I find hilarious is all these shots of Marky Mark rolling out of the way while giant building-sized monsters roll around him, and somehow it's basically, I was thinking, this is the kind of movie ants would tell themselves living around humans. It's like every time an ant escapes, it's like, I escaped because I'm the chosen. And the other thing, the plot that they set up in that trailer is literally the same exact plot from, I think, all 4 pre-existing Transformers movies.
There was no plot in 2 of them, so...
Listen,
fair.
Listen,
those movies,
some of my favorite movies are sequels that are the same story as their predecessor. I can't. Anthony Bourdain's been making the same show for 15 years, and it's a great show. And I don't care how many names he wants to call it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can't believe this is pivoting to Transformers talk, but that shot where you see Marky Mark do the slow motion and the amazing things tumbles, the CG thing tumbles and happens. That's got to be film historians 50 years from now, 20 years from now are going to look back, and that's going to be a type of shot and a type of action sequence that is in all of Michael Bay's work. And so from a history of filmmaking standpoint, like that's going to be like a chapter in a book on
that's
directing
the end
action.
of the hard-boiled jump. That's the end of the John. That's the other end of the John Woo jump.
And it's also Bollywood. You remember that famous Bollywood sequence in which the guy shoots at the SUV, which rolls, and as it's rolling over him, he pulls the bad guy out of the sunroof.
Yeah, and Deadpool has, this has taken that to another level. And so, you appreciate the filmmaking parts for what they are.
So back to Guardians.
Yes.
Okay. I think we should talk about some spoilers because the screenwriters whose names escape me right now because I'm dumb and I didn't do my homework, but I believe it's a man and a woman.
I'll look while you talk.
Thank you. The screenplay. So this is spoiler time. I want to talk about my favorite moment in the film. I'm going to go right to my favorite moment in the film, which is okay.
Is there a favorite line or a favorite moment?
No. Help me because I'm old. Gamora is sisters with
Nebula.
Nebula, that's it. Okay, when Gamora and Nebula are finally fighting and screaming at each other, and Nebula reveals that Thanos pulled her eye out when she lost a fight, pulled her arm off her body when she lost a fight with Gamora each time, and replaced her to try and make her better. And this is why she hates Gamora.
Mm-hmm.
I found that to be one of the most... Oh, right. And so Gamora is first yelling at Nebula about her vindictiveness. And you're on Gamora's side. You sat through the whole other movie seeing how much Nebula was,
She was just the bad kid.
Yeah,
it was a good kid, bad kid.
And then... So Gamora is going after Nebula, and Nebula responds with, here's how shitty my childhood was.
Yeah.
And I
you just wanted to win
on a dime. I love it when movies give you that kind of turn of like, oh, this is how I see things. And then someone says one thing and you're like, oh.
There's no way you could have related to that at all, Adam.
Well, but like it was one of those things in the trailer I saw. Oh, okay, they have Yondu's going to be part of they're bringing everybody from the first movie into the team. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, this is I don't want the bad guys to be the good guys now. That's a bad trope. And then they totally earned it. Like that whole, I had the same reaction. I saw that. I was like, oh, this was a fucked up childhood for both of them in a really specific, like relatable way.
Right.
That retconned both of those performances in the first movie and made them better as a result of this movie.
And set up the villain. Like the villain, what's going to involve us in the villain? Oh, he wants to destroy the universe. That's not as involving for us as the audience as he was a really screwed up dad.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. That's the one that makes us like hate him. That's what makes him the worst villain when he comes up in the future movie. Also, the whole Rocket Yondu.
Oh, that was amazing.
Was mind-blowing.
They're the same person. Yeah.
What's that?
They're the same.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah,
I mean, the name of it's obviously inspired, based on a Marvel comic, but it's called Guardians of the Galaxy. So I think a lot of the mainstream audience, at least in the first film, had an expectation of what does it mean that this is a quote-unquote super team that saves the galaxy. But that's not what it's all about at all. The saving of the galaxy is merely incidental. They don't set out to do that.
Right.
It's just, it's actually a lot like Fast and the Furious. It's about family.
It is, yeah.
And
it's Fast and the Furious in space.
It's broken
Michelle
people.
Rodriguez please appear in one of these movies?
Hopefully.
I feel like all movies would be better if Michelle Rodriguez.
Well, Vin Diesel is in both of these franchises because he's Baby Groot,
right?
Right? And so he's got to be there off the sidelines, arms folded, making sure Marvel, capital F, family is a big theme.
I mean, they're one Corona away from Fast Five, basically.
That's so funny. It's a contractual requirement in Vin's contract.
So the Drax, like they did a really good, they did right by every character in the movie, including the new characters. What's it, Mantis?
Yeah,
and Kurt Russell.
Yes, Kurt Russell.
Also in Fast and the Furious, for the record.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I guess.
I didn't realize. Can we just talk about Kurt Russell for a second?
He's the greatest living actor, I think.
He is the living definition of charisma.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
He just comes in and he does the big smile, he does the aw shucks grin, and then he does some capital A acting and chews some scenery.
What is the year the Computer Wore Tennis Shoes came out?
It's like 1983 or something, right?
No. It's early 70s.
Hold on, is that the one? I thought that was the Computer Wore Tennis Shoes is the one with the Growing Pains kid.
No, I'm thinking of an early Disney film that Yeah, yeah. You won't believe this.
Is it like
1969.
Oh, so
that's
it's-
what Kurt Russell looks like.
Oh my God.
Right? So I've been watching him in movies forever, and he looks so good, and he is he's the best. He's the embodiment of wonderful charisma, which is perfect casting to play Ego.
And they open it with Marvel is just bold every year, every movie with the de-aging process.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
That was the best de-aging I have yet seen.
They could have cast his son, honestly, who looks just like him.
Oh, dude, does
yeah.
he?
Wow. He's the guy in the 22nd Jump Street, the football player.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He does look just like him.
But I was talking to Frank, and I didn't know whether that was all digital or all, and it is I think an effects company that specializes in de-aging.
It's the one that did. I'm gonna guess it's the one that did Benjamin Buttons.
I don't even know if it's that one,
but it's that technology.
Yeah, it's that technology, and they've gotten so good at it that it's difficult not to believe that actors have it built into their contracts to have these
they do.
companies come in
this
as
isn't
part
a
of the
conspiracy
process.
theory. It's totally true.
Right.
But what the shot we're talking about is you get to see young Kurt Russell before he has conceived Chris Pratt's character.
Yes, Peter Quill.
Star-Lord, in a car with Star-Lord's mom, and so it's the 70s, and they're doing so it's Kurt Russell in his 20s,
and they're listening to Brandy.
Which, by the way, bookmark Brandy. And he's in he's in a sunroofed, it's like a Trans Am or something.
I think it's a T-top like Trans Am or Firebird or something like that.
So sun is moving across his face.
It looks like a Hot Wheel, and it's like a tilt shift shot too. So it looked not a lot, but a little bit. It looked like miniatures almost.
But the sun coming across his face, bringing out details that made I think that shot more difficult. And I watched that stuff with a very, very jaundiced, careful eye, and I'm like, wow, I'm not spotting the uncanny valley tells at all.
I assumed it was makeup. That was my take when I saw it.
So bookmark Brandy. I'm working at Industrial Light and Magic. It's 2002, probably 2001, and this new model maker we've hired, who's kind of a weird guy, he comes up to me randomly in the middle of a day, and he goes, Adam, do you know the song Brandy? And I went, the song Brandy, You're a Fine Girl, What a Good Wife You to Be, that one from the 70s? I was like, yeah. Do you know what it's about? And I was like, I think it's about a sailor who likes this girl in the seaside down, but he can't be with her because the sea is his lady? And he goes, yeah, I just never listened to it before. Maybe one of the most random conversations I have ever had. I was expecting You're So Vain is about Mick Jagger. No, it's about Warren Beatty. No. He was just literally listening to the lyrics for the first time.
Right.
Look, I am the guy who never listen. I know all the words to the song and never pay any attention to the lyrics.
Yeah.
So when Rock Band came out and we were playing Rock Band all the time, and suddenly I had to pay attention to the lyrics because I was singing, it's like, wow, lyricists. It's just a bunch of nonsense most of the time. Complete and utter gibberish. Anyway. Okay, so
especially Tom Waits.
Dave Bautista.
Holy
Drax.
shitballs.
Drax.
So I didn't have an issue with. I love Drax, and I think turning Drax into this comedic character, which they did. They really leaned into the things I think a lot of people loved about Drax in the first film. But Drax in the first film served as a way. It was a very big surprise, right? He was a way to dispel misconceptions because the first half of the film, he's a tough guy. He's gonna cut your throat, and then there's a turn that he takes everything literally, and he's really funny. And in this film, he didn't have that. He just started off with being the comic relief almost. So I was hoping that other characters or new characters would have to fill those spots, and I'm not sure what you guys thought if they succeeded, because everyone played the role that they did at the end of the last film pretty well.
Yeah,
I felt like part of what his role in the first movie was to be our kind of our person in that world, right?
I thought it was Peter Quill.
I don't think so. I feel like Drax was the one that was his role as the person who takes everything literally was to explain things that people in that world would understand that we would not because we do not live in that world.
Also, Peter suffers from a lot of self-delusion, which is what makes his character interesting, and
Yeah.
Drax does not. I loved. Hold on.
Gesundheit.
Excuse me. I loved the fact that Drax laughed so much. This is something I've talked about before. People don't laugh in movies or television or media. In fact, I submit, as I have before, Julia Louis-Dreyfus is one of the few actresses that openly laughs. In Seinfeld, at New Adventures of Old Christine, Veep, she laughs. And to see Batista getting... I got to meet him last year and spend a day with him. And I found him to be one of the nicest, most... gentle, intelligent, amazing actors I've spent time with. And then to watch this film and watch how much he got to play with and do in the film is absolutely delightful. I didn't mind that there wasn't a super badass in the group because I was so emotionally invested in each of the characters.
I mean, that's the thing.
Well, I think the character that ended up being the surprise revelation was Yondu, like the one that had the biggest turn,
right,
by the end of the film.
And how many different versions of why Yondu didn't turn Quill over to Ego
or eat him?
Right. There's at least like 4 different sub-stories we had bouncing around in our heads, and what they chose, what ended up being the reason, was the best.
Was the one that made him the most vulnerable.
Right.
Well, that, and then the little snippets of the larger world that they showed. You know, Sly Stallone and Michelle Yeoh as Ravager captains.
Oh God, Sly Stallone.
Like, I want to
Sly
see more
Stallone,
Ravagers.
man.
Yeah,
that's a great cameo.
Great cameo, and showing up to show everyone how it's done.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
There's like when he's again another. And for anyone who wants to denigrate Sly Stallone, I tell you to watch Copland.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
An amazing film in which Stallone completely holds his own as an actor equal to Harvey Keitel, Robert De Niro, all those other guys. He's just chosen a different path, and he shows up with all that amazing charisma, and you're just like, wow, look at this guy go.
Yeah.
The Rocket, the whole, like, each character had a unique, like, the interesting thing, I bet I want to kind of see the plot, because they split up for a while.
Yep.
Which puts you in an interesting situation where like Groot and Rocket always stay together. They clearly have this deep bond that we'll find out about some point in the future. It's unclear still, like, why Rocket will literally do anything. Like, at one point in the movie, he literally says, "Look, I'll do whatever it takes, just don't hurt Groot."
Right. Yeah. Do whatever you want to me.
Do whatever you want to me. Yeah. And that, like, for a character that is in every other way so incessantly like, this whole thing kicks off with him stealing something that he shouldn't have stolen that they were being hired to protect. And that it's an interesting arc for him through his meeting with Yondu, through the time in the prison with Yondu, and deciding that, oh, right, okay, it's okay to love.
Yes.
So they taught and the Trash Panda joke was also a real high point.
Okay.
Trash Panda joke was
Mary
amazing.
Poppins
I also
joke.
loved it when he stole the batteries from the planet of golden Tilda Swintons.
Yes.
I know Tilda Swinton
and
isn't
bad
in this
hair.
movie, but that was a planet of
she's
golden
already
Tilda
in the Marvel
Swintons.
universe.
And bad wigs.
And bad wigs.
Yeah.
I loved the video game as Planet Defense thing. That was the right kind of
That
dumb.
was really well done.
Yeah.
Really, like, again, the other thing that look, I'm an unqualified fan of this film. You know, I think if I watched it again, I might spot some things that I thought were clunky, but I just enjoyed sitting through it and being a passenger along for the ride.
And I mean,
and it starts off with that amazing opening title sequence. They had to one up the one from the last film.
I don't even
and
remember
they
it.
totally
That's
did.
It's terrible.
It's Dancing Baby Groot. It's where the big action
right,
is
the
all
big fight.
happening.
Yeah.
Where ILM tried to spend more money doing the background than the foreground, and it's all blurred out.
The thing, like, this is a joyful movie.
Yeah.
Right. And I've been worried even since, like, the second Captain America movie with the Marvel formula. You know, there's the cold open fight, and then there's the fight that they lose, and then they have some hardship, and then they have a little fight that they win, and then there's a great big fight that they win. And, like, a lot of the Marvel second wave stuff follows that path almost exactly.
Totally. Sure.
This still follows the formula, mostly.
But character is much more front and
That's
center.
it. And because I care so much about those characters, like it's shocking to me that they made the movie with the talking raccoon and the tree that only says "I am Groot," and that's the franchise that I think I care more about than anything else in Marvel right now. Although that Thor trailer looked pretty good.
The Thor trailer looked great. I loved after the first Guardians movie was such a success. Joss Whedon's quote that, "Well, now that Hollywood's realized an animated raccoon can anchor a movie, maybe they'll let a woman do it." And by the way, I'm really excited that the advanced word on Wonder Woman is that it's fantastic.
Yeah.
I cannot wait for that film.
Wow, I think that comes out when this
That's why
comes
you're
out
gone,
this
isn't
Friday.
it? Yeah.
No, it's
Dude,
yeah.
Dude, I am so there.
Yeah.
Although I'm not there.
No,
I
you're gonna
think
be. You guys are. I'll be
for
there.
England, right?
Yeah, I'm not here at all. I'm on my honeymoon.
You go to the Arctic again?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's Guardians of the Galaxy
Wow.
2. I mean, most people should have seen it by now. It was a massive success.
Super, super wonderful. I'm going to go see it again this weekend.
me too.
James Gunn, I believe, has signed on for the third installment.
And he
Yeah.
wrote it too. He was
He
the
did.
writer and the director.
Okay.
Yes. He's coming in for a third. He said he might not. He was struggling with it because he really wanted to work with Michael Rooker, and then he also struggled with writing the death of Yondu. So, but he's coming back.
Yondu is?
No.
No.
Yondu's not coming. James Gunn, even without Michael Rooker, they love collaborating. But
Oh,
James
nice.
Gunn's going to come back. I also like that it was not tied directly to the main Marvel universe. It didn't need all the cameos.
Right,
and it didn't need to be about this big.
Even in the multiple
stingers.
post credit what do you call it? During
Stingers.
credit.
Yeah.
It had the
mid-credit
best
stingers.
post credit, like during credit stuff I've seen
Like
in a
7
long
of
time.
them or something like that.
The Stanley when he popped up on the planetoid those
Watchers.
guys are the Watchers, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I can't.
And he said, well, this one time I was he referenced the other cameos. It was so dumb.
Yeah,
so
no,
good.
I know. We had Michael Rooker on MythBusters many years ago for the zombie
cool.
episode, and I'm so happy for his
Oh God, he's the guy.
rebirth
He's from
success.
Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Yes.
Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's-
and Henry Portrait of a
Daryl.
Serial Killer.
He's Daryl.
No,
Yeah,
Daryl's
okay.
brother.
Yeah.
He's
His
Daryl's
other brother,
Daryl's
Daryl.
brother, yeah.
Yeah.
Season 1.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay,
man.
completely forgot that.
Totally.
Yeah, that movie's okay. People should go see it.
Go see that movie. I think that's a
Yeah. Any other recommendations for things you guys been watching? I got to give a shout out to Master of None season 2.
That it's really good.
I've only watched one episode from season 2, but it's New York, I Love You.
Oh
the,
my-
the,
you jump right in the
the
middle, which is
Buñuel
okay.
style vignettes.
Yes.
Unbelievable. And
Yeah.
we have this other one. Julia's been telling me I've got to watch this dinner party one.
You got to watch the whole season.
I know.
Even the first episode, which the season started Drax.
the one in Italy.
Yes.
Yeah, I watched that one.
Okay,
that
you did.
It was
Okay.
really
Yeah.
I love how much room they're giving writer, director, actors like Aziz to work with the team and build these incredible shows that are just like you're willing. I think they could go into a science fiction realm and you'd be like, oh yeah, I guess this is where they're going.
Yeah.
I watched. Nobody needs me to tell you that Archer is good after they've done like 7 seasons, but I finally picked up the last season.
Yeah.
and it is astounding.
Oh,
it's
okay.
another theme season. They go into they take the team and they go do something that's spy adjacent, and hijinks ensue. It's really
Excellent.
Awesome. I don't know if you guys should record. I'm not here
You're not here next week.
for next week. I am.
We
in,
will
in
record
Europe.
a podcast. We
So,
will
yeah.
find
Yeah.
a guest, and we will
Yes.
actually, I have a couple of ideas already.
All
Okay.
right. All right. Well then, Adam and Will will see you guys next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye,
Bye,
guys.
guys. Have fun on your honeymoon, Norm.
Thank
Yes, enjoy it.
you. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.